Keeping it rolling post-draft, breaking down two defensive backs the San Francisco 49ers drafted in 2025. Third rounder Upton Stout, fifth round safety Marques Sigle. How do they fit with the San Francisco 49ers? Strengths, weaknesses, scouting reports. 49ers got a couple of good ones on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker at BD Peacock at Crocky209. Love our everydayers out there. Thanks for hanging out with us as we break down the San Francisco 49ers draft. Get you ready for 2025. If you're new to the program, welcome. Please subscribe on YouTube or wherever you are listening to this podcast. A thumbs up. Let us know you stopped by. You can hit the notification bell as well, so you know when we're doing one of our live shows or when a new episode is posted. And you can always drop a line or a question and let us know a topic or something you want to talk about here on the program, whether it's on the socials or on the YouTube comments as well. Now, we're talking about two defensive backs, and luckily for us 49ers fans, and I'm going to take a back seat in this one because we got our resident DB expert, none other than Eric Crocker, former professional defensive back, we're not talking about pick 100. We're not talking about pick 160. Former number one pick in the AFL expansion draft. Mr. Eric Crocker is here with us every day, but he's here especially today to break down these two defensive backs. Upton Stout, nickel. Marques Sigle, play a little nickel. Pure safety probably in the NFL. Let's start with pick number 100, Croc, the third rounder in Upton Stout. And this is another one of those episodes where it's like the defensive tackle episode where it's like, okay, you're kind of daring to dream with one guy, and then the other guy, it's an easy evaluation. You know exactly what you're getting. I think it's a similar situation here with these two defensive backs, and it's Upton Stout that is the what you see is what you get. He's an easy evaluation for me. Dude is a straight-up nickel. He's not tall, but he plays big. He will tackle you. He will cover you. And to be honest with you, Croc, I don't know if he's 6 feet, 6'1", probably a first-round pick. Like, what's not to like about the way he plays, right? He's just 5'8.5".
Nah, he's this scrappy player, and you know, you asked me before we started recording, you're like, you know, any strong take on these guys? And I was like, you know, Stout to me just feels like an 8-9 year NFL pro. Like he's gonna get his 8 years, 9 years, just because of one, the position he plays. Like, he is a true nickel. All right, more times than not, when you're looking at the defensive back position, the cornerback position, nickels, a lot of times it's an outside guy that moves to nickel at the NFL level. Well, Stout essentially played a pro position, but in college, you know, and played that and got comfortable there and did all the things you would like to see. All right. Samuel Womack, Toledo, he had broke up a ton of passes, got drafted by the 49ers. People were excited about that. 49ers were like, you're going to play nickel. And actually started out well. You know, he was making plays in the preseason, but then they benched him after like the second game. And we're like, wait, what the heck? What happened to Samuel Womack? Why is he not in the nickel still? And, you know, you get a few messages and they're like, they didn't like his run fits. They didn't like him against the run. And that's something that a guy that, first of all, he's doing very well with the Indianapolis Colts. So maybe the 49ers should have just kept him on the outside. All right. But, you know, they're like, they didn't like his run fits at the nickel spot. And they find somebody that can do it. So he went back to Diamador Lenore. Well, Stout has zero issues with run support. I mean, that's one of the things that jumps out. No matter what you watch, you can watch his games, you can watch his highlights, you can watch his whatever film you put on. It's physicality. It's being able to play in that nickel. Yes, he is vertically challenged when it comes to his height. He's only 5'8" or 5'8.5". He's not very tall, but he is a scrappy, physical guy with good vertical speed that I feel like is made for the slot. Like, there are some people where say, yeah, they can play outside, they can play a nickel, okay, you can do some different things. Then there's people like, that guy is this, right? Simmons, the tackle I liked at Ohio State. He was born to play offensive tackle.
Yep.
You can see that. Stout is born to play nickel, and it's one of the tougher positions on the field. A lot of people say that cornerback is the most difficult position to play in football outside of quarterback, because quarterback mentally, but athletically, like, man, corner is extremely difficult to play. One step, and they're striking the band. They're scoring a touchdown, right? Just one misstep. Nickel is even harder because you are essentially playing the position that I think is starting to get valued a little bit more, but you're playing a spot where you have to do so much, like the tight end position, right? Like George Kittle. And we just talked about how his how good he is with route running and his catching yards after catch and all those things, then blocking. He's everything. He's a left tackle, he's a receiver, he sometimes gets in the round, he's a running back, like he's everything. And Stout or any nickel, you're kind of everything. You're a linebacker, you're a safety, you're a cornerback. You need to be able to do everything, and Stout gives you that. So whether it's watching what he did in college, watching him at the Senior Bowl, being able to run vertically with guys, being able to get reps on the outside, be able to get comfortable in the slot there as well. I like the pick. Now, does he make that? Is that transition seamless to the NFL? We'll see. But like, what are the downsides of having him at nickel right away? I don't know. Aside from you and I thinking maybe they were gonna like Diamador Lenore there, and they're like, no, we actually want to keep Diamador Lenore on the outside, and we're drafting the guy like Stout because we believe he can come in and he can play right away. At least that's what it looks like they're thinking.
Yeah, and I would assume he would have an opportunity to come in. And I mean, the Niners might have half a dozen rookies starting, and we know that nickel is the new base. And I think part of the 49ers drafting undersized, nickel cornerback so high and an undersized linebacker and then two massive defensive tackles is part of what I think Robert Saleh is talking about when he's like, schemes change and you're trying to stay ahead of the league and try to stay a year or two ahead of the league if you can with schemes. And I think part of that clearly for the 49ers is, well, if we're going to have small people on the field, we still need to be able to stop the run with those packages and those players on the field. So we're going to be as big as and nasty as powerful in the defensive line as we can to take up blocks. So we can play our nickel corner in a quasi linebacker role. And like he plays like a linebacker, Upton Stout. He's lined up right there, and he triggers. It comes downhill and tackles dudes, makes tackles behind the line of scrimmage, makes plays on screen passes, and so he's really a fun player to watch. And I think he's a perfect fit for what the 49ers want to do there with their nickel corner. And he's also fast, so he can carry a slot fade down the field, and he can range and cover not only tight ends and running backs, but can cover legit wide receivers. And he played a lot of outside corner as well, was featured his final year to get him ready for the NFL. Part of him not going to Michigan because he was going to transfer to Michigan and Jim Harbaugh left. Essentially, he was going to be who's the Washington Commanders? Mike Sanders
Sandstrom.
Yeah. So he was going to go replace him, play for Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh jumps to the NFL. And he decided he was going to stay at Western Kentucky and finish it out there and pass up probably some significant NIL money to do so. And, and showcased himself as a true nickel, even though it's a smaller school. I mean, he was fun to watch. And so I think the transition should be easy. It's never easy. I'm sure for a college player into the NFL and making that jump, but just for him, just the fit and how he displayed every talent you need to play that role in the NFL, I think it will be kind of easy. And the fact that the Niners drafted him in the top 100 tells you how they feel about him. I would say as far as negatives go, Croc, again, it comes back to size. Because again, I'm going to go back to his combine really quick. 4.44, 40-yard dash at 5'8.5". That half is really important, Croc, because I think some places will round up and he'll be listed 5'9". So look for 5'9", 181 in the program potentially. But 5'8.5", 181 pounds, shorter arms, smaller hands, which is to be expected for a guy who's not very tall. But he ran 4.4, 156 in the 10-yard split, 37.5-inch vertical, 10.8 broad jump, and 21 bench press reps, Croc. Like the dude's kind of rocked up. He's not the biggest guy, but he's physical and he's legitimately strong. That is the most bench press reps of any defensive back, corner, or safety at the combine. Now, I know not everybody, a lot of those DBs like to duck out, and I always give you crap, Croc, on the podcast about DBs don't like to tackle. And I mean, this dude likes to tackle, and he hit the weight room as well. And he's like lifting with the linemen at Western Kentucky, threw up 21 bench press reps. He also had the fastest gauntlet miles per hour. So 19.47 miles per hour during the gauntlet drill at the combine was fastest among defensive backs. We heard Kyle Shanahan talk about the gauntlet with Jordan Watkins as well. So it's clearly something they look at. Honestly, kind of weird. I don't know how much stock to put in something like that, but the Niners pay attention to it. So really good combine for a guy, even though he came up short when they were measuring. Everything else was big time.
The significance with the gauntlet, right, and being able to play at a high speed, to me, that just says there's a lot of confidence in his hands. Guys that are kind of going slow, They probably leave the ground a little bit, try to soften, the ball coming towards them. But guys are just confident in their ability to just catch the ball and play at a fast speed. It's just boom, boom, boom. Like if he ran that fast and caught every ball, that would actually be very impressive. Same with Watkins.
Yeah. A few more notes on Upton Stout before we jump into Marques Sigle, what he could be for the San Francisco 49ers. Not as clear, but a lot of talent. That is clear that Marques Sigle possesses out of Kansas State, the 5th round safety from the San Francisco 49ers 2025 NFL draft. Next. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and the NBA playoffs are in full swing. Steph Curry got a little hammy, which I don't like seeing. See if the Warriors can keep their heads above water until he comes back, but every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments, whether it's game-winning shots or a breakout player. There's never been a better time to get in on the action, and FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live during the game. Player props, performance trends, same game parlays that are super fun to stay in on the action. Fans have so many ways to play smart and win big. Playing smart is important on FanDuel. And how could a $200 bonus help? In $200 in bonus bets and help and add to that excitement. And all you got to do is win your first $5 bet. So if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Croc, just as far as the negatives go, and obviously he's 5'8.5", Upton Stout, shorter arms. He's not tall. He plays physical. Love the way he supports the run. Love his athleticism. He's pretty sticky in coverage as well. Has some, he wasn't always just a pure nickel as well. So like he can man up against wide receivers. He's done it on the outside. He's done it in the slot. But there are times, even when he's in position, he's just not big. And so I worry about some reps where, you might not get caught as much as the 49ers have in the past with that slot fade and receivers running away from the nickel defender. But you might have situations where it's a big slot or a big tight end or a receiver that just has more size. And he can't really get there and affect the pass and defend the pass, even if he's in perfect position. So that's one of the big negatives. And that's why there's probably some teams that just didn't have him on their board because he didn't meet the physical standards that they want in their cornerbacks. For the 49ers. They don't care. And Croc, we also got to come up with like an animal themed nickname for Upton Stout too, right? There was the Shark, and he's clearly a very similar player to K'Waun Williams in this defensive scheme, a little more athletic, I think, than K'Waun Williams was. And you got the hyena back there, and the 49ers have done well with their animal themed nicknames in the defensive backfield. You got Tig. So we got to figure out what Upton Stout is going to be for the San Francisco 49ers. And then as far as negatives go, one of the things that can happen for a smaller player is, especially a smaller player who plays big, when you're 180 pounds and you're taking on running backs in the run game with reckless abandon, there's a potential for injury. And he did lose half of his season in 2023 at Western Kentucky to a shoulder injury. So that's something you worry about. Someone who throws their body around. Is he going to be able to physically stand up to that kind of punishment on his frame for those 8 to 10 years that you were talking about?
He's 180 pounds?
Combine 5'8.5", 181.
To hit 225 21 times at 181 pounds,
yeah,
that's kind of remarkable. Like, that's just a strong person. Maybe there's some people that just have like these amazing genetics, and I've seen him work out with his shirt off and stuff. He is a little rocked up. He actually looks like he has like long arms. He kind of has this hunched over technique, whereas like I almost want to tell him like, hey, relax a little bit, But hey, if it works for him, it works for him. But that's pretty damn strong for 181 pounds.
Absolutely. That is impressive. Marquez Sigle, the 49ers 5th round selection, number 160 overall. He is bigger than Upton Stout, but played that star kind of nickel role a lot in college at Kansas State. 5'11" and 3/8 at the combine, 199 pounds. He was up to 202. So about 5'11", 200 is Marquez Sigle. He ran the 40 in 4.37 at the combine, a scorching 1.54 10-yard split as well, 38 in vertical, 10-10 broad jump, 18 reps of 225 at his pro day. So he spent some time in the weight room as well. And another guy that just has a ton of athleticism. And it's something the 49ers haven't really, they've erred on the side of the box safety with instincts rather than the super athletic moldable clay piece, and let's see what we get. And so I think the picture is less clear for Marques Sigle, but clearly he has a ton of talent. So when you put his tape on, what did you see from Marques Sigle? Can he be that starting free safety potentially for the San Francisco 49ers? Could he be in the mix? Because with injuries in the defensive backfield, he should have an opportunity to compete.
I remember when Minka Fitzpatrick was coming out, and I'm not comparing him to Minka Fitzpatrick, but Minka was kind of a jack of all trades. He was a guy that could play outside cornerback. He was a guy that definitely played that nickel position. He damn near, I mean, how much did we see this star position before Minka Fitzpatrick? It's like, did
He
Nick
invented
Saban
it.
like create? Yeah, I feel like did Nick Saban create a position to get this true freshman on the field? All right, and maybe they always had it, but we just started paying attention when they got Minka Fitzpatrick. But he was making plays all over the place, and it was one of those things where you just you like so much, but it's like, where's going to be his home? Is it going to be a nickel? Is it going to be because he had outside corner ability? And remember, he was drafted by Miami Dolphins. Everybody thinks about him on the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he's drafted in Miami, and they're like, oh, we're going to play on the nickel. Oh, you know what? We're going to play on the outside corner. And he's like, what the hell's going on? You guys are losers. Get me out of here. So they traded him to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's like, you know what? You're going to play free safety. Like, you're going to be like a single high safety, two high safety. We're going to use your speed, your athleticism, your instincts. And sure enough, he ended up being an all-pro safety and doing very well at a spot where we did not see him play in college. Now, he was listed as a safety, but he played nickel. He played in the slot more times than not. Like, that's probably, he played linebacker. He lined up everywhere, but 90% of his snaps, I would say, especially at last year, like, he's in the nickel, in the slot. And when I look at Sigle, like, similar, like, he's playing in the slot. He's a nickel. Like, he got drafted and it's like, oh, safety. Then I immediately, you cut to the film, watch, okay, see what he's doing. Let me see this too high safety. Man, they said he's really fast. Man, they have some decent size. This guy's not a safety. This guy's a nickel, right? Like, that's what you see. But he has size, he has speed, he has range, he has coverage ability. And I feel like you need to have all those things to play safety in today's day and age. And the speed part of it is a factor just because, just the ability to turn around with guys without your clock speeding up. And I'm very curious to see what will it look like if they say, all right, we have our nickel and we don't need you as a dime guy. No, we want to play you at free safety or strong safety, right? Their safeties may be interchangeable, but we want to play you at that safety spot. You're going to be a two high guy and you're going to play single high and want to lean on some of those instincts that you had, that you flashed at Kansas State and use that speed to get sideline to sideline. And he was a guy that did not shy away from contact. Like, was he stout type aggressive? No. And I don't know if there's many guys that just throwing their body around the way he is, but he was throwing his body around very good. Now, there was one game I was watching. He clearly shied away from contact. It was like coming right. He was on like the right side, and it was like coming right at him, and he kind of like moved away to almost get himself blocked, and then like stuck his arm out. It was a half-ass effort where I was like, that's not that good. But I saw plenty of times where he was throwing his body around. He was getting physical with guys. And then you talk about the coverage ability, being able to run with shallow crossing routes. I was impressed from that standpoint. So I think the biggest thing is, and you kind of alluded to it as we started, what is his path going to be? And I'd say for the 49ers, like, maybe it's at safety. And I've been clamoring for this guy. Like, I've been clamoring for the 49ers to get a plus athlete at the safety spot. I like the, Jair Brown and some of those Mustafa, like, cool. Like, they're cool safeties. I see where they fit. But where's the guy that just has, I can cover, I can fly around, I can hit, I got speed, I could chase guys down, because the 49ers have been missing that. Even with Hufanga, he played faster than his time for sure, but he's still like not a speedster from that standpoint. But, playing downhill, moving forward, like, he definitely had that, he played fast. Where's the guy that can run vertically fast with guys? Where's the guy that can sometimes, hey, when I'm wrong, when I'm thinking, my athleticism can make me right? And watching Sigle, I think he has at least the athletic traits to be that type of safety.
More on 49ers rookie 5th round safety Marquez Sigle, strengths, weaknesses, how he fits with the San Francisco 49ers, and who one of his famous former teammates was. Next. So Marques Sigle started his college career during the COVID pandemic 2020 season, and he only played one game that year. Do you know who his teammate was for that one game, Croc, in 2020?
Would it be one Trey Lance?
Trey Lance. Marques Sigle started out his college career at North Dakota State, played there for 3 years. He was a corner first, which is why he has that athleticism and coverage ability, which I like the former corners converted to safety, especially for those rangy free safety type of roles, which is exactly where I would put Marques Sigle in this defense. But do you remember that one like almost sham of a game in 2020 that Trey Lance played in the COVID year before the season?
Central Arkansas.
Yeah. And so I think that's the one game in 2020, because it was the only game that existed in 2020 that Marques Sigle played. He had one tackle in that game, ended up being a redshirt year for him, and then played every game for the next 2 years for North Dakota State, then transferred and was a full-time starter for 2 seasons with Kansas State the last 2 years in 2023 and 2024. Had 4 interceptions the last 2 years, 9.5 tackles for loss, and about 16 passes defensed. So, he's involved and he's close to the line of scrimmage, played a lot of that nickel role. There was a few times, though, Croc, when I did see him play a deeper safety role, and he looked to have a lot of range. He actually had a pick on a deep interception when he was deep middle of the field and tracked that thing down. And so I think there's a lot there. And I think in the college game, usually it's a pretty big positive for me when a guy is playing that quote unquote star role, because usually college teams put their best players there. Right? You can waste away playing safety for a college team, or they can get you in the mix and match you up against the team that the guys that the other team are trying to feed the ball to, be in the middle of the field, be involved against the pass, be involved against the run. And so I almost look at that as a positive, even though he hasn't played as many reps in the deep safety role that he'll have to play in the NFL. It also shows that he has the skills to drop down, because the 49ers love to interchange. He's physical enough. He's not as you pointed out, he's not, someone who's going to rough people up. He's not a huge hitter. He's not an enforcer back there, but he'll hit you and he'll tackle you. He'll trigger downhill. He's really fast getting downhill against the run. He's got a ton of athleticism. He can come down and cover. And I think he's got the athleticism to play the deep role, the deep middle of the field. And so I'm excited to see how he develops. I would probably not expect him to jump right into a starting role, but the 49ers have a spot where he might have an opportunity to play. If he proves he's able, I would think that all the skills that we've talked about, Croc, mean he's probably going to be a pretty good special teams guy right away as well. And, you don't want to limit a guy. They might have a need with Mustafa out if Jair Brown's the one playing strong safety to compete for that free safety role. Now, there's some veterans on the roster he's going to have to beat out near the last line of defense. You've got to be mentally prepared and ready to go. So I'd probably bet against him earning that role, but, it's not impossible. And I think he has the type of attributes that if he can develop could be a starting free safety in the NFL. So I'm with you. I'm glad the 49ers took a swing on an athlete at safety, because it's not something they've done really. And since who was the converted corner?
Number 33.
Who was it?
Number 33, right?
Yeah. He was a cover 4 corner. They moved him to safety. I'm blanking on his name. That was he was at the 2017 draft?
No, they moved him from corner. He was a safety in college. So when JUCO, he was a single high safety. You talking about, is that a Southern Miss, right?
Yeah. Why am I blanking on his name? Oh,
I'm blanking on it too.
Tarvarius Moore.
So he was a safety in college, a single high safety in junior college. Got to the NFL, 49ers was like, let's put you at corner. And I'm like, there's nothing about his movement skill. Matter of fact, I think we were at the we did like I was with you on the live show or for the draft.
The live draft, Yancey Saloon in San Francisco, California. That's right. Yeah. So that was the 2018 draft. That was Fred Warner year. Yeah.
I was like, there's nothing about this guy that says corner. Like just the way he moves. Like corners move a certain way, and you just didn't see that movement ability from him. So I'm like, okay, we'll see. One guy I threw out the name Minkah Fitzpatrick. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows, I think, the world of him and what he was as a prospect coming out. But let's talk about a different guy that I feel like this really matches as well. And his name isn't as polarizing as Minkah Fitzpatrick, but Jalen Pitre. And Jalen Pitre coming out essentially kind of played a very, very similar role in what, from just glancing, like similar defense, kind of just similar responsibilities. And you look at Jalen Petrie, he has been in the NFL. He's played 3 years in the NFL so far. His rookie year, he started 17 games. He started all 17 games, 5 interceptions that year. The next year, well, the next 2 years, 1 interception combined. But he has started every single game that he has played. And Petrie, I believe, was a second round pick at 6'200". And how big was Sigle?
Sigle, 5'11", 200. Yep.
5'11", 200. So, I mean, he's essentially Petrie's size, has, played a similar role. And Petrie got to the NFL and like, oh, okay, you're a safety here. Like, even though you played the same thing as Sigle in college.
I loved Jalen Petrie coming out too. So that's a good comp. Not someone as lofty as the Minkah Fitzpatrick, but that college star nickel player that he's probably going to have to play full-time safety in the NFL if you want to get him, full-time reps. And I love the fit. So an athlete, we'll see. Do the 49ers strike gold again with another 5th-round pick in Marquez Sigle? Speaking of 5th-round picks, we're going to have to break down the running back as well. Jordan James out of Oregon. He's, I guess, going to have to be next on our list, I think, Croc, of players to break down. We've done 8, so that means we have 3 to go.
Talking about some of these guys, all right, did you, and especially like rookies, right? Shout out to my guy, first of all, my guy Trey Jenkins. He's from San Jose State, and he's from Stockton, went to St. Mary's High School. But he was with the 49ers during the rookie minicamp. So, I'm not sure if he ended up getting a call back, but it was just cool to see my guy in that red and gold. I say red and gold, really the practice jersey. It's just red and white. But, it's cool to see my guy in the red and white. And, his brother's excited and people in Stockton, just excited to see him have that opportunity. So shout out to Trey Jenkins, San Jose State graduate. All right.
What position was Trey?
You said what?
What position?
Safety.
Safety. Okay.
Yeah. But also from rookie minicamp, Matt Barrows had this to say. Matt Barrows had this to say. The most visibly striking receiver, and shout out to Matt Barrows, does a great job covering 49ers, of course. But he said the most visibly striking receiver in the minicamp was undrafted rookie Isaiah Nair. He cuts a Randy Moss-like silhouette with a thin frame and long arms and legs. His big stride gobbles up yardage and immediately forces cornerbacks to turn and run with him. So, that's high praise. You talk about, saying the guy, hey, Minkah Fitzpatrick, let's go above that, right? With the undrafted rookie and say, Randy Moss.
I know, yeah, we keep comparing these guys to like DJ Jones and K'Wan Williams and Eric Armstead and Javon Kinlaw. No. We need to crank it up. Let's start talking about current Hall of Famers and future Hall of Famers. These guys are the next Randy Moss and Minkah Fitzpatrick. Let's go.
Yeah. And looking at Sailor, he's 6'4", 220 pounds, ran a 4.4 flat or whatever. And, I think we just discussed it on the previous episode. But Randy Moss, to have a silhouette like Randy Moss was 6'4", but he was like 195 pounds. He was kind of a twig. And this guy, even before I looked at what his height and weight was, I said, looks a little bit more rocked up than what I remember Randy Moss. And Randy Moss was interesting too, because he was like this super long strider. Gosh, the Giants just gave up another home run. All right. But Randy Moss was like this super long strider, and he just he gobbled up. Let me go back to reading it. His big stride gobbles up yardage and immediately forces corners to turn and run. Like that was Randy Moss.
Randy Moss is like, is he really that fast? And you realize just how fast he's going. Dude, that Randy Moss at Marshall was one of the oddest looking dudes because of how much space he did eat up with his strides, hurdling guys. And he had like what looked like 10 pounds of tape on each foot. And it looked like Clydesdale feet, right? Because it was like, how is he so skinny? And he's got these big clomping feet, but he's flying around the field. I don't know if he had like ankle problems or he was so skinny in the legs that it made his feet look bigger with all this tape on it. But it's such a striking look. And it's like something you'll never forget. And so I can see why you would see somebody and be like, you don't see that very often, that frame, that silhouette. And Isaiah Nair has it. He's 6'4", and his arms are crazy long. I think we talked about it on yesterday's pod. He's got like a 7-foot wingspan. He's got 34 plus inch arms, and they're just so long. And his legs are so long; they're almost too long the way he runs. And
too bad Kyle saw him and said, "Hey man, look at this guy out here. What? How tall is he?" They're like, "Man, he's 6'4", 210 pounds. Wow, how fast did he run? Man, he ran a 4.4 flat, coach." So yeah, you could be tall, or you could be fast, but you can't be tall and fast.
Let's draft this returner from Montana instead. Oh, that's another one, Junior Bergen. We got to talk Junior Bergen. We got to talk Jordan James. And there's one more I'm missing. Who else did the 49ers draft? There's one more draft pick we haven't broken down yet. Oh, it's Curtis Rourke, the quarterback. That's right. Those are the last three we've got. I think we could put those all together probably in one episode here to finish up the draft picks and then maybe talk about some of the 49ers undrafted free agents as well. Love that we got to see at least a peek of some of these guys at rookie mini camp. And of course, we'll break down everything every single way that we can here every day on Locked On 49ers. Let us know what you want us to cover. We'll do some live Q&As on YouTube as well. So make sure you're all subscribed up, hit the notification bell, tell a friend, and Croc and I will be back tomorrow right here. Locked On 49ers.